Floor amendment number 1 has been distributed.
Representative Tupola.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the adoption of the floor amendment.
Representative Ward.
Speaker, I second the motion.
Members, is there any discussion on the proposed floor amendment? Representative Tupola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We offer the following floor amendment. I oppose the underlying bill with the following amendment in your consideration, and part of it is to insert in Section 11 the word forensic. We've talked about it in the hearings. We've had numerous emails, constituent complaints, even media people specifying the difference between an audit and a forensic audit. I just have 2 points that I want to bring up, which is the difference between what the city audited and what we have, or if it is the same. And so the 4 objectives from the city auditor were as follows, and this is the 2016 audit by Edwin Young. These are the 4 objectives. The city auditor was to assess the reliability of HART's financial information provided to government decision makers and the public about the project's financial or fiscal challenges. We can see a similar portion of that in our bill, Part 4, Section A2. The second objective was to determine whether HART has a reasonable subsidy plan to fund future operational and maintenance costs. You can see a similar section of that in Part 4, Section B2 of our bill. The third objective was to assess compliance of HART's procurement and contract management practices. We have a similar section in Part 4, Section A2. The last objective was to evaluate the project's financial viability and likelihood of other factors that could potentially cause more cost overruns. We have that in Part 4, Section B2. The point that I'm trying to make is that if our audit is suggested in our bill is written in similar language that was given to the city to do in 2016, we need to make sure that the word forensic is in there and that there's a differentiation between what we're asking for, which is that we want there to be specific studies on the fraud, waste, possible abuse. And that's so important because we can all agree that the management of the project has been below satisfactory for everyone across the state. These are some of the findings from the city auditor that some have not been resolved. HART has financial and subsidiary plans that were not reliable or current. As of the audit, HART has not updated its financial plans to reflect the rail's current financial conditions. HART has weak controls over financial information reporting. HART does not ensure data is complete and readily available for its contract management system. The project management plan and operations maintenance plan are outdated and unreliable as decision-making tools. HART has made concessions to one single contractor, did not perform a quantitative analysis to justify major decision to repackage a bid for 9 West Side stations, paid $1.5 million to stipends in unsuccessful bidders, paid for a vacant office space, tried to discredit the work of the audit, made cost estimates without supporting documentation, started delay claims that were undocumented, had controls that were insufficient to control the cost increases, files were missing, and there is no evidence that contract managers conducted performance reviews. 22 contract files did not have contract managers. 3 files had no evidence of a cost or price analysis. And lastly, it lacked proper review and documentation to support work or service billed. These are findings from the city auditor, and like I said, some of them have not been resolved, and therefore it stands that it's so important for us to write in there that there be a forensic audit and that we study for fraud, waste, abuse, embezzlement, everything that we think is happening, look deeper into it and make sure that when we say audit, we really mean dig deep, do a forensic audit, and do it the right way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.